Yo, what's up guys? Patrick here, welcome back. Moving on to the next question. We have to take this inequality here and solve it. Notice it's a quadratic inequality because the highest degree is this 2 over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring everything over to one side. So we'll have 4x squared plus 15x. And then when we bring the 3 over, minus 1 minus 3 gives us minus 4. So we have to figure out when does this quadratic here, when is it less than 0? When is it going to be negative? So what I'd recommend doing is actually first factoring this quadratic. So let's do that on the side here. First, let's even see if it does factor. So are there two numbers that multiply to negative 16 and then add up to the b value of positive 15? And there are 16 and negative 1, like that. So what we could do, we could take this 15x, break it down as 16x and negative 1x, and we got the minus 4 at the end, right? We just took this 15x, broke it down into those two. And then from here, what we could do, we could factor from the first two terms of 4x. We'd be left with x plus 4. Then we could take out a negative 1 from these two terms, x plus 4, right? This bracket should always be the same when you're factoring. Then we could take out the bracket, and we'd have 4x minus 1, like that. So this factors into that. So we can rewrite this as x plus 4 times 4x minus 1, like that. What we can actually do here, this is a quadratic. Notice this is a quadratic that opens up because that leading coefficient is positive. Right, it's a positive 4. Notice that it's factored here, so we could figure out what the intercepts are. So when does x plus 4 equal 0? Well, when x is equal to negative 4. So this is like y equals x plus 4 times 4x minus 1. So at an x value negative 4, this bracket would be 0, which would make the entire thing equal to 0. So x equals negative 4, that's one intercept. And then when does 4x minus 1 equal 0? Well, when x equals 1 over 4, that would be over here. Right, so if we graph a quadratic, just roughly one that opens up with those x-intercepts, when is it less than 0? When is it negative? Meaning when are the y values negative? That's going to be in this area over here. So notice for x values between negative 4 and 1 over 4. So that's the solution to this. It's basically happening between an x value negative 4 and 1 over 4, or another way we could say x is an element from negative 4 to 1 over 4. Notice it's circle brackets because it's not inclusive of 0. We're not including the intercepts. If this was less than or equal to 0, this would be less than or equal to, this would be less than or equal to, and then this would be square brackets. But because this was just less than 0, it's left like that. So either of these formats works. All right, so when you have a quadratic, you can just graph it out. Another way you could do it, actually, let me quickly show it, is with a sign chart. So what we can do is figure out first when do these brackets equal 0. We have those two x values. So what we would do is we'd have negative infinity, go in order, negative 4, 1 over 4, and then positive infinity. With quadratics, this is not my preferred way to do it, but just in case your prof potentially shows it this way. So then what we would do is we'd pick certain x values, and then we could see what's the sign of the factors in these intervals, and then we can see what's the sign of the overall function quadratic that we're working with. So between negative infinity and negative 4, let's pick negative 5. So we plug in negative 5 here. Negative 5 plus 4 gives us negative 1. So this factor would be a negative for x values between negative infinity and negative 4. If we plug in negative 5 here, we'll have negative 20 minus 1, which would be negative 21. So that would be a negative as well. So when we multiply these two, we get a positive, and that makes sense. So from x values between negative infinity and negative 4, that's this part. Notice how it's positive. It's positive in the sign chart as well. Between negative 4 and 1 over 4, easiest one is 0. Plug in 0 here, we would get a positive 4, negative 1. Multiply these, it's negative. And that's this area right here between negative 4 and 1 over 4. And then between 1 over 4 and infinity, let's pick positive 1. Plug in 1 here, that would be positive 5. That's a positive value, right? 4 times 1 minus 1 is 3. Multiply these two, it's positive. So notice we see that in the diagram as well. For x values between 1 over 4 and positive infinity, the y values are positive. So the solution would be right there. When is it less than 0? When is it negative? Between negative 4 and 1 over 4. So whether you do it with a sign chart or you graph it, I recommend doing the graph. That is the solution.